This is the K95.3 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by The Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K95.3 Sports Show podcast. My name is Beau. I am your host. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so you can get further episodes. You can follow along for future episodes. Also, if you're on your cell phone, hit the bell button right next to it, and that'll actually give you push notifications on your cell phone every Wednesday morning when I come out with a new episode. I'd also like to thank the Fan Zone for sponsoring us. We appreciate them doing that. Get into the Candy Mall and check out what they all have in their store. Also, I now mentioned last week, and I'll mention again, that next week is our Twins season preview with Tim Myring and Dan Schell. And I will be letting you know a way to win Twins tickets, a pair of Twins tickets next week. It is for the Sunday, April 14th game. I believe it's a 1 o'clock start, and it's on the Budweiser roof deck. So the weather has surprisingly changed around over the last couple of weeks. So once thought it would be like 40 degrees in the middle of April. Now it's looking to be a little bit nicer. So definitely listen next week to see how you can win those Twins tickets. All right, so let's get into Minnesota Wild talk. I brought in my quote-unquote wild experts.
Yikes.
I don't know if we can go there yet.
And so we got Andy and Nick from the Stingers. And, they just don't know baseball. They know hockey, too. So
wouldn't mind those Twins tickets that you're giving away.
Yeah, no doubt.
2 tickets. Nick and I are right here.
I'm open that day. We don't have anything going on.
Yeah. Nice and open on the 14th.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, our season hasn't kicked off quite yet. So that's the time we can go.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at the Wild here. Let's start on a very, very positive note. And Donato.
Yeah, Donato's
has just been killer.
He has. He shoots the puck. That's we've talked about before. That's what he does.
Once we have a player who does that.
Yeah. He's played 13 games with the Wild, and in those 13 games, he's had 4 goals, 9 assists, and plus 6 rating. So before that, with Boston, he had 34 games played, only 6 goals, 3 assists, minus 11 rating.
Yeah, no, and I think that just shows how, with a different situation moving up, because I'm assuming he was probably third line at least on Boston, if not maybe even dipping into the fourth line type of thing, because they're pretty deep. So
Boston got a pretty good team. Lots of frontline centers that have been there, frontline wingers and centers that have been there for a while, and so it's, as a young guy, it's tough to break into some of those guys that they've had with David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron, all those guys that are mainstays on that Boston roster for probably the past decade or so. It's tough to crack that.
Yeah, so he needed more playing time. We gave him more playing time, and he has thanked us by scoring some goals and getting some assists, and like you said, shooting the puck, and which has always been, it seems the Wild franchise as a whole just refuses to shoot the puck sometimes, but he has no problem with that, which is great. You get pepper the goal, and you'll get the rebounds. You'll get those. You'll get Zucker, or not Zucker, but Parise, who's out front, grinding, getting the rebound and smashing them in. I mean, just getting them onto the net makes such a huge difference, and I felt that's always been Minnesota's problem. Wouldn't you agree, Andy?
Yeah, he's an aggressive player when it comes to shooting the puck, and that's why we went out and got him for, during that trade deadline to, kind of boost our offense a little bit, which was kind of the lackluster part of our game at that point. So since he's been here, it's been a huge asset for the Wild, and getting more goals on net and putting him in the net as well. So,
do you take the off the ice piece to it, the business side of things? He's a young guy making less money than what they traded away in Charlie Coyle, so they're hoping that he's going to be part of the future youth movement, for lack of a better term, with Ryan Donato and some of the other guys that they traded for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like, when we talked when this originally happened, I liked it just because it seemed like we got stale, and I feel like this has given us a nice little jump with our offense and just that the team as a whole. The other trades, we'll see what happens. Aberg is meh, Rask is ugh, and Hunt, right? Yeah, Hunt.
Yeah,
Hunt. I liked him. He's been pretty solid for us too. So, if we end up two for 4 on the trades of getting 2 solid players and just a couple of role players for like the 3rd or 4th line, I'm okay with that because they are young and they can get better.
Yep,
hopefully.
exactly. And like Nick said, they're young. We freed up some cap space to make some moves, maybe in the off season here or down the road. But they traded for those guys to be the future, and I think that's going to be a good push for the Wild down the road here. So I think, with the other trades, Aberg, he's been all right. He hasn't played as much as we probably hoped he was.
Because he was injured a little bit.
Yeah, he was. Yep. So I kind of like him. I think he's a guy who shoots the puck too. Like you said, Hunt is solid back there at the point, and Rask, he's fast, and that's kind of all we've seen so far. We haven't seen him really put the puck in the net that much, but I think out of those 4 guys, 2 out of 4 is pretty doable.
Yeah. So obviously we had those guys from the trade deadline. Another kind of semi-re-emergence for the Wild is Zucker has been looking more like himself since the trade deadline. It really kind of shows that I think the rumors of him being traded kind of hurt him a little bit on the inside. I feel he really, really likes Minnesota. I feel like he's really got some good roots here. So I think he would have actually been pretty devastated if we would have traded him to Calgary or somewhere else.
Yep, I think you're right. He's got a family here, so he seems to really like it in Minnesota. He's been on fire, like you said, the last 10 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. So he's been playing hot as of late, and that's what we need, trying to make this playoff push and get back in that wild card race.
Yeah,
it makes a difference too, as he's now one of the, maybe not necessarily older guys, but I'll say a veteran with some of these new guys coming in. Mm-hmm. So it's a change in leadership type role for him, and you get past the ins and outs of am I going to be here, am I not going to be here, and now he's here playing well. Kind of looked on to be a veteran leader with some of these young guys coming in, and he's playing well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's definitely it's good to see because I still think he should be our top goal scorer year in and year out for the near future.
I was listening to our broadcasters talk about him last game, and he thinks he can be a 40-goal scorer. Last year he hit the 30 mark. This year he's down a little bit. He's at 20 or just over 20.
Yep.
But, he said it. He firmly believes he can be that 40-goal scorer type of guy. And I
agree.
Like Nick said, he's kind of now stepping into more of that leadership role and taking that on, and it's been great for him so far. So if we can keep going and, if he has that kind of confidence, that's what we want.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So it'll be fun to see how it continues for the rest of the season and next season when we get back into it. But it's promising to see that, and yeah, like you said, I definitely see him as a 40-goal scorer. Definitely.
Yep.
He's got the talent. He's got the speed. He's got everything. He's got
the potential is
all
there.
The tools.
He does. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, let's once again, the problem with the Wild this year is the Jekyll and Hyde-ness of their team. They'll have a great 10 games, then they'll have a horrible 10 games, and then they'll have an average 10 games, and then just all over the place. And that's kind of reared its head again. Last time we talked, when you were in, Andy, we talked, they were on the middle of that win streak there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they lost, that was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And at that point, they lost to Nashville, had that great game against Tampa Bay, then went into Florida and the Panthers and lost the next night. And, I'm sure they went into that back-to-back with Tampa the first game and Florida the second, expecting to go 1-1, but they probably expected it to go the other way, losing to Tampa and beating Florida. And then they came home after that, and they struggled at home again, which they have pretty much all season.
They've been struggling at home, and they've been playing really well on the road. So it's kind of been a complete opposite of last season or several seasons before that, because usually you play at the X. We have great fan base, sell out that arena every time. So I don't know what the situation is this year, why we're struggling at home so much, but that's been kind of the Achilles heel right now.
It really has, and like we said, we record this Tuesday night, and so they've got Colorado tonight, but this is their fifth game of their homestand, and they are 1-2-1.
Yeah.
Or one. No, how's that go? 1-3. Well, 1-2-1. No, because they lost. I don't know. There's stupid ties and
they won one game in regulation and then they lost a couple in OT. So and that's something that's kind of been hurting us too. Especially at this stage of the season, every overtime game, that extra point of winning instead of just taking 1 point and getting that extra point and having 2 makes all the difference in the world. And now you're going to see it if you're like at the standings.
And I saw this since the All-Star break, we've had 7 overtimes since the All-Star break. We've lost 6 of them.
Yeah, and so now we're getting 1 point instead of 2 if we just win it outright. And
if we win,
those are big points.
Yeah, if we win half of those 6, that's 3 points, and we're back in the playoffs.
Yep, exactly.
And just a point behind, Dallas. So it makes a difference. It's nice to get into overtime and to get that point.
It is.
But it'd be nice to finish more than once every 7 times to get that second point.
It's nice to get there, but I mean, like you said, you got to get that extra point, and just 1 or 2 points right now, and we'd be back in the playoff race. I mean, we're still in the race, but we'd be in the wild card spots.
Yeah,
so.
We'd be looking down at the people coming after us instead of looking up at the people we're trying to reach.
Exactly.
And so that's unfortunately that's the way the team has played, and it's. Hopefully, over these last 9 games, we see a change here. This is gonna make or break the season, obviously, because it's the last 9 games. But they're also going up against, Colorado tonight on Tuesday night is the only not current non-playoff team they play.
So they got a tough schedule.
Yes, so we've got every team after that is a playoff team, and Colorado is going to play hard because they're just 3 points behind us and 4 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, they're still in it.
So we're not talking about them playing the Anaheim or Los Angeles or something that are way out of the playoffs and just kind of coasting for the end of the year. This is going to be not only because let's be honest, we hate Colorado. Colorado hates us.
Yeah, it's a big rival.
So it's already they're already going to be up for the game as it is. But now for this fact, it makes a huge difference, and. Taking a look, they've got Colorado, then they've got Washington and Carolina. They still got Nashville coming up next week again. That'd be nice. That's at home, so it'd be nice to take that as a win. They do face Arizona on the 31st, so that'll help us.
That'll help decide who gets in.
At Arizona.
Well, we've been playing better on the road.
That is true. So let's hope we definitely pick that one up, because that'd be 2 huge points at that point. And then they finish off with Winnipeg, who we've done very well against.
Played well against those guys. We kind of have their number, at least in the regular season anyway, for this year. Playoffs may be a different story.
Yeah, exactly. And they finish off the season against Dallas, who knows, might end up being actually for the 7th spot in the playoffs. So, it's good that they're going up against these tough teams at the end of the season.
It should keep the energy level of the team there, the focus there, versus going, hey, we're playing LA or Anaheim, who's far out of it. Hey, we got to be up every night. You're going to learn a lot about what this team has from a character standpoint. Hey, can they be up with the energy level, the effort level to play there, because they are playing teams who are battling for playoff spots or have them all but locked up with these last 8-9 games. That'll tell you a lot about these young guys.
It's a good test. I mean, and the good news there, I guess the somewhat good news is if you play well against these teams and you make that wild card spot, you feel pretty good because to get in there, you're gonna have to beat some of these playoff teams already. So, I think the strength of schedules actually could help us when it comes to if we get in the playoffs. So that now the tough part is getting in there. Yeah,
no, I agree. It'd be nice. It'd be nice now that we've had we had that great run where we were doing really well there 3-4 weeks ago, and then we've had a little lull. Let's pick up that run now again, and
finish the season strong, going in the playoffs, feeling good about themselves, and hopefully that helps us power through the first round of the playoffs.
And I really feel that the Western Conference is pretty up for grabs. You got Tampa in the other conference in the Eastern, and they've been kind of running away with it. But there's really no team that you look at in the Western and you think, oh man, there's no way those guys pencil them in, write them right into the championship game. I feel that it's a relatively wide open Western Conference for the playoffs. I mean, we do well against Winnipeg. We do solid against Nashville.
There's not
Vegas, we dominate.
There's not a runaway team like Tampa Bay, but for my money, the West goes through Nashville to go through the playoffs and have to go into that environment, that arena, for a team that's been pretty rock solid for the last 3-4 years. That's going to be who's going to run the West. I think Calgary's I think they've got the best record overall, but they're kind of new at this. San Jose's always been pretty good. Winnipeg, obviously, but
San Jose kind of has the same struggle the Wild have. They usually get ousted about in the first round every year. So
yep, great regular season, and then they get there and you're just
For somebody to go in and knock Nashville out, I think is going to be the big test, because they've kind of run the West here the last 3-4 years. Have been one of the top dogs for sure.
Very, very tough place to play, especially in the playoffs. They've made that thing a circus with who they bring in for just sing their national anthem, because it's in Nashville, so they have all these famous country singers that come and do this. So they've turned this place into a town that you probably wouldn't think would be a very hockey-friendly town, and they've turned this thing into something awesome. And I think it's really cool what they've done in Nashville. But the nice thing about
winning does that.
Yeah, exactly. it does.
It's weird how that happens.
Well, and the nice thing about hockey is if you can get into the playoffs, it's anyone's game. It's the only sport that's had an 8 seed win the whole thing. So it's literally anybody's game once you get in the playoffs. You just got to get there first.
Yeah, and it's and like you said, the end of the schedule being so solid and being tough matchups, and we do tend, and that's not only just the Wild way, but kind of the Minnesota way. It seems we always play up or play down to our competition.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully that bodes well in our favor then.
Yes, yeah, exactly, and I'm excited. I really hope they make it in. I really do think they could have a chance to upset someone in the first round. I still think that when they play their game, that they can be a very tough opponent. I want to see Dumba back. Hopefully, I guess I forgot to check. I was going to look up to see if there's been any news on him, but I haven't seen anything recently.
Well, if these last 9 games here, if they can get in the playoffs, they've got a team that from the back end out can win playoff games. They've got a goalie who's proven he can be a true number one, and they've got some young guys who can score goals. But you get like any kind of touchdown, you get in the playoffs, everybody's got a shot. You get a goalie who runs into 4 or 5 games in a 7-game series where he gives up 1 or 2 goals or shuts out, you're going to advance real fast. And the Wild have a guy who can backstop them and steal a few games in a series, even if they're not playing well, that not everybody can rely on.
That's how LA won it when they were the 8th seed. They had Jonathan Quick stand on his head, and they made a miraculous run and won the whole thing, basically because Quick, stopped way more pucks than everyone thought he was going to. Got hot at the right time, and that's what you need to do. You need to get hot at the right time, and right now would be the right time for the Wild.
Yeah, definitely, and excuse me, and It's exactly that's, and I love saying it over and over again. That's what I love about the NHL playoffs. It's anybody's game. We don't talk a lot of NBA, but it's the opposite for the NBA on here. It's you could pencil in the top. Almost not even pencil in. Put it in pin. Who's going to make the championship every year? Yep. And you're almost guaranteed to nail one of them. And that's what I enjoy watching playoff hockey, and it's just it's just different than regular season hockey too. It's kind of weird to even. It's weird to say that it's 2 totally different kinds of hockey, but playoff hockey definitely is different than regular season. I think it's more of a grind, a little tougher.
It's definitely a higher intensity.
Yep.
They're throwing their weight around, throwing the bodies around more than they will in the regular season, because this is, they put everything on the line. Block shots. You see more block shots in the playoffs than you ever do in the regular season, because people are giving up their body. So it is. It's kind of 2 opposite worlds, but that's another thing that makes playoff hockey so fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it is, and I don't know how people can just dive in front of a
100 mile per hour slap shot. Yeah. It doesn't feel good. Nick and I both played hockey, and
it's not fun.
We haven't had to face a 100 mile per hour slap shot, I'm sure, but even just getting hit with the puck is not a good feeling. So.
Yeah, I don't want to imagine I'm sure it ain't much different than a baseball thrown at your head at 90 miles an hour at your body too. I mean, that's no fun either.
Stings a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, exactly. So, and speaking of injuries too, like it seems odd. I don't know. People kind of maybe laugh at this, but Zucker kind of seems to be the Rhodes, the Xavier Rhodes of the Wild. He seems to go down, he gets injured, and then he comes back a couple minutes later, and you're like, oh, well, the heck happened?
Yeah.
Is he just super tough, or is that what is exactly going on? But I mean, he almost he turned his ankle the other night, and you thought he was done. Then he almost did the splits in the middle of the ice, and I was like, wow, he ain't coming back from that, and he just keeps coming back, and so I mean, hockey players are tough.
Yeah, that's the reputation they have. Hockey players are the tough ones, that's for sure.
Football might be a little harder, straight-on collision type aspect.
They're going to be bigger, stronger, but I think hockey players are tougher.
Great distinction. Great distinction. Because, it's constant, and you're out there. I mean, you get the breaks when the lines change, but you're out there nonstop and hitting in the corners. So, it's a fun, and that, like I said, that's the way the playoffs ends up kind of being. Is it's a little more of a aggressive. It's not necessarily a great thing to have a fast team in the playoffs because they tend to bog you down a little bit more with that. But, like I said, who knows what will happen? We've got 9 games left. It'd be nice to get in there. And, let's see, when was the last game? It was like the first weekend, I think.
It's going to be April.
Yeah, April 6th is the last game for the Wild, and then there's usually some on Sunday because they usually do a Saturday, Sunday. So I'm assuming the 9th or 10th will start the playoffs there. So, hopefully I can have you guys back and we can talk about the Wild's playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun and nerve-wracking last 9 games, that's for sure.
Yeah. I just want to see them. Let's see them do something.
It'd be nice. It would be nice.
It only took one season for the female hockey team Snowcaps to win a championship, but
yeah, not a bad season they have.
1 for 1.
Once again, a professional female team winning it all in Minnesota.
That's our bread and butter right there.
Yeah. But let's see what happens and go from there. I don't know if there's anything else you guys really wanted to touch up with. Any other interesting factoids or comments you guys want to talk about at all? I mean, I'm pretty much
not on my end. It's kind of hitting the main points here with 2-3 weeks left, and hopefully we got more goals in than we give up.
Exactly.
Simple as that, right?
Couldn't say it any better myself.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope that we get 100% from the Wild here these last 9 games. I hope we don't just roll over and play dead and just get our butts whooped for the last 9 games. And
hopefully, because there's only 9 games and we're playing playoff teams, that's enough to keep them up and keep them going every night.
If that's not, then what is?
There won't nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you for coming in and being on the show. I appreciate it as usual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, because it's nice to have a little more Wild talk on here as much as possible. So, as usual, please comment if you have any. If you disagree with us, if you just want to say something below, please hit the thumbs up. Hit share for your fellow Wild fans, for your fellow sports fans to know about this podcast, and please listen next week, and I will announce the exact rules on how to win those pair of Twins tickets for the April 14th game against the Detroit Tigers. So we'll see you guys next week for the Twins preview.